Stoic Daily Stress Cure. We live in an age of constant, low-grade assault. It's not the epic, life-altering catastrophes that wear us down day to day, but the relentless barrage of minor frustrations. The Wi-Fi that drops during a crucial meeting. The driver who cuts you off in traffic. The passive-aggressive email from a colleague. The notification that interrupts your focus for the 10th time in an hour. The project that hits an unexpected snag. None of these things in isolation is a disaster, but together they become a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Each one is a tiny wound, a small sting of annoyance, stress, or anger. And over the course of a day, a week, a year, these thousands of cuts accumulate, leaving our mental and emotional energy bleeding out drop by drop. We end our days feeling drained, irritable, and overwhelmed, often without being able to point to a single major cause. This is the background radiation of modern stress, and it's quietly eroding our peace. Now, imagine a man who faced pressures that dwarf our daily struggles. A man who ruled the most powerful empire on earth, who spent over a decade on the front lines of brutal wars, who buried multiple children, who survived a deadly plague that ravaged his people, and who dealt with constant political betrayal. That man was Marcus Aurelius. And yet, through his personal writings, his meditations, we see a mind of profound tranquility, resilience, and clarity. How is this possible? Did he simply ignore the paper cuts of imperial rule? No. He developed something far more powerful, a practical philosophy for not just enduring stress, but neutralizing it at its source. He developed what we can call a mental antiseptic. This isn't about pretending the cuts don't happen. The antiseptic doesn't make the wound disappear. It disinfects it. It cleanses the injury of the emotional bacteria, the anger, the frustration, the anxiety that can cause a small cut to become a festering, infected wound that poisons our entire system. This concept is a radical departure from many modern approaches to stress. We're often told to just think positive, to suppress our negative feelings, or to distract ourselves with entertainment. But these are like putting a dirty bandage over a wound. The infection is still there, growing beneath the surface. The Stoic approach is to actively engage with the frustration, but in a highly specific, clinical way. It's about applying a cognitive formula that sterilizes the event, stripping it of its power to cause us emotional harm. It's about building a robust emotional immune system that can handle the daily influx of irritants without becoming overwhelmed. Why is this so critical? Because the human brain isn't well equipped for this modern onslaught. Our threat detection system, the amygdala, can't always tell the difference between a genuine danger, like a predator, and a perceived social threat, like a critical comment from our boss. It reacts with the same flood of stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. When we experience one paper cut after another, our bodies remain in a state of low-grade chronic fight or flight. This emotional stacking, where one frustration piles on top of the last without resolution, is cognitively exhausting. It consumes our finite willpower and mental bandwidth, leaving us less resilient for the next challenge and the next. This is why you can handle a traffic jam just fine in the morning, but the exact same traffic jam in the evening, after a long day of other paper cuts, can make you want to scream. Your defenses are down, your mental immune system is compromised. Marcus Aurelius and his Stoic predecessors understood this fundamental mechanism 2,000 years ago. They realized the secret wasn't in changing the world to eliminate all possible frustrations, an impossible task, but in changing the minds to them. The foundational principle of the entire Stoic philosophy, the master key to the mental antiseptic, was articulated perfectly by the philosopher Epictetus. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views which they take of them. Let that sink in. The traffic isn't inherently stressful. The email isn't inherently infuriating. These are neutral external events. The stress, the anger, the frustration, these are products of our own mind. They are the judgments, the stories, the labels we attach to the events. This is a disaster. He is disrespecting me. This always happens to me. This is the bacteria. This is the source of the infection. The mental antiseptic, therefore, is the practice of consciously intercepting these automatic negative judgments and replacing them with objective, rational ones. It's the moment of pause between the paper cut and your emotional reaction. In that pause, you have the power to disinfect the wound. You have the power to see the event for what it is, an external occurrence separate from your inner state. You can choose not to add the second layer of self-inflicted suffering. This isn't about being emotionless or robotic. It's about choosing your emotions wisely, rather than being a slave to them. It's about reserving your powerful emotional energy for the things that truly matter, not wasting it on 1,000 trivialities. We've defined the problem, the 1,000 paper cuts, and we've uncovered the core philosophy of the solution, the mental antiseptic that cleanses our judgments. Now we must move from theory to practice. How do we actually mix and apply this powerful cure in the heat of the moment?
The Stoics' Toolkit. Applying the antiseptic. We've established the diagnosis. Our daily peace is being drained by 1,000 paper cuts. And we've found the prescription, Marcus Aurelius's mental antiseptic, a cognitive process for disinfecting our minds from the emotional residue of these minor frustrations. But knowing you need an antiseptic is one thing, knowing how to use it is another. A first aid kit is useless if you don't know how to open it. So let's open the Stoic Toolkit and examine the 4 primary instruments for applying this cure directly to the wounds of daily life. The first and most fundamental tool is what philosophers call the dichotomy of control. This is the bedrock of Stoic practice. It involves constantly, almost obsessively, sorting every element of a situation into one of 2 baskets: things you can control and things you cannot. The things you can control are surprisingly few: your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, your choices, your willpower. The things you cannot control are, well, almost everything else: the weather, the economy, the traffic, what other people say, what other people think, what other people do. The Stoic insight is that 100% of our frustration, anger, and anxiety comes from trying to control what is in the second basket or from neglecting what is in the first. When you're stuck in traffic, raging at the sea of red taillights, you are trying to mentally will the uncontrollable to change. It is a perfect recipe for suffering. The antiseptic here is to consciously release your grip on the uncontrollable. Acknowledge it. I cannot control the speed of this traffic. Then immediately pivot your entire focus to what you can control. I can control my breathing. I can control the music I listen to. I can control the podcast I play. I can choose to use this time to think or to simply be calm. This act of mental sorting instantly disinfects the situation. The paper cut is still there, you are still late, but the emotional infection of rage and helplessness is gone because you've aligned your energy with reality. The second tool is a proactive one, a kind of mental vaccine, or the premeditation of evils. This sounds grim, but it's actually a profound tool for building resilience. It involves taking time in the morning or before a specific event to imagine all the small things that could go wrong. Your coffee could spill, the train could be delayed, a key colleague could be sick, your presentation software could crash. You're not doing this to become a pessimist. You're doing it to remove the element of surprise. Surprise is what gives a paper cut its sharp sting. When the frustrating event occurs, instead of reacting with shock and anger, "I can't believe this is happening," your mind is prepared. You can greet it with a calm, almost knowing response. "Ah, yes, I considered this might happen." This practice acts as a fire drill for your emotions. You've already rehearsed the response. So when the alarm bells of frustration ring, you don't panic. You calmly execute the plan. This practice pre-applies the antiseptic, ensuring that when the cuts inevitably come, they land on a mind that is already prepared and disinfected. The third tool is for gaining instant perspective, especially when a paper cut feels disproportionately large. It's a visualization exercise often called the view from above. When you feel yourself getting worked up over a minor issue, a misplaced document, a delayed package, perform this exercise. Close your eyes and imagine you are floating up, out of your chair, looking down at yourself. Then pull back further, seeing the room, the building, the street. Pull back further, seeing your entire neighborhood, your city as a map of lights and shapes. Keep going, higher and higher, until you see your country, the continent, and finally the entire Earth, a beautiful blue and white marble suspended in the silent, black vastness of space. From this cosmic perspective, now try to locate your problem. Try to find the anger you felt about that misplaced document. It becomes laughably, beautifully insignificant. This isn't to say your problems don't matter, but it recontextualizes them to their proper size. It's a powerful dose of antiseptic that cleanses the ego and the drama, reminding you of the immense scale of existence and the triviality of most of our daily agitations. Finally, the fourth tool is the most direct application of the antiseptic at the moment of impact. It is the practice of pa. This means stripping the event of its judgment and seeing it for what it factually is. When a colleague criticizes your work, your automatic judgment might be, "They're trying to undermine me. This is an insult." This is the story, the fiction. The objective representation is, "This person spoke these specific words. That's it. That's what happened." Everything else is a layer of interpretation you added. Instead of, "My commute was a nightmare," the objective representation is, "The drive from my home to my office took 15 minutes longer than usual due to increased vehicle volume." By describing the event like a clinical detached scientist, you separate the fact from the emotional infection. You see the cut for what it is, a simple tear in the paper, not the terrifying monster your mind wants to make it. These four tools, the dichotomy of control, premeditatio malorum, the view from above, and objective representation, are the core of the Stoics' mental first aid kit. They work together to build a mind that is not immune to hardship, but is resilient in the face of it. The goal is not a life without paper cuts. That is an impossibility. The goal is to become the kind of person who can get 1,000 of them and not have a single one become infected. It is the daily practice of applying this mental antiseptic that transforms you, building an unshakable inner citadel, a fortress of tranquility that no amount of daily chaos can breach.